Good evening and welcome to tonight's webinar. I am Tanisha Rayson Henry. I'm a board certified family nurse practitioner and founder and owner of Better Days Wellness Clinic, PLLC. And tonight's webinar, we are going to be discussing the calm before the storm, a reset approach to preventing pre-diabetes. So, what's my story or connection to prediabetes? I've seen the impact of diabetes up close with family, friends, and patients. I've seen people I care about navigate the confusion, the fear, and the frustration that comes with blood sugars being out of balance. As a provider, I've seen patients struggle, not because they don't care, not because they're lazy, but because no one ever gave them the right tools, the right information, or the right support. Most people aren't failing, they're simply underserved. They've never had someone break things down in a way that actually fits their life, their schedule, their stress levels, their family responsibilities, their budget. And honestly, our healthcare system doesn't always make that easy. That's why I'm here tonight. My goal is simple: to make this information practical, hopeful, and real. I'm not here with scare tactics. I'm here with clarity. I want to show you what's possible when you understand what's going on inside your body and how small, doable steps can shift everything. So, why prediabetes matters? Prediabetes matters because it's not rare. It's actually one of the most common health conditions here in America. Right now, more than 1 in 3 adults have it. That means if you're in a room with 10 people, at least 3 of them are likely to be living with prediabetes. And here's the part that should wake us all up. Over 80% of people who have prediabetes don't even know it. So why do you think that is? Why do you think so many people have this and do not realize it? You could come off mute, or you can put your response in the chat. So why do you think that is, that 80% of people who are pre-diabetic don't know it and don't even realize it?
Because they don't exactly know what diabetes is or what to look for in being a diabetic.
Right. So with being a diabetic, full-blown diabetic, the symptoms might be a little bit more obvious. With pre-diabetes, they're not as apparent. And so that's part of what we're going to learn tonight. So the truth is, prediabetes doesn't come with obvious symptoms. You don't feel it the way you feel a cold coming on. It's silent, and that's what makes it dangerous. Most people only find out when a provider actually checks their blood sugar levels. But here's the key takeaway. Untreated prediabetes increases your risk for developing type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and possibly having a stroke. These are major health issues that can affect your quality of life, your energy, and your long-term health. But when you catch it early, we can change the entire trajectory of your health. That's why this conversation matters so much. Awareness is the first step, but action is what protects your health. Prediabetes doesn't affect everyone equally. The rates are especially high among adults over 40, which makes this conversation even more important as we age and as our metabolism naturally shifts. It also hits certain communities harder. So greater risk if you are African American, Latino, Native American, Pacific Islander communities have significantly higher rates. And that's not because of genetics alone. It's also due to healthcare disparities, access to healthcare, stress, cultural factors, and food environments like living in food deserts. People with a family history of diabetes, those carrying excess weight, and those living a more sedentary lifestyle are also at higher risk. But here's what I always remind my patients: risk does not equal destiny. Prediabetes is a warning light, not a life sentence. Just like that little light that comes on in your car, it's saying, hey, something needs attention. It's not saying the engine is blown. It's not saying the car is done. It's saying if you address this now, you can prevent bigger issues later. And that's the power of catching prediabetes early. It gives you a chance to turn things around before complications develop. That's why this information is so important. It gives you back control. So, what's really going on? Let's get a better understanding of prediabetes. So, let's talk about what prediabetes actually is. Because once you understand what's happening inside the body, everything else makes more sense. Prediabetes is a condition where blood sugar levels are higher than normal, but not high enough to be diagnosed as type 2 diabetes. Think of it as that middle zone. It's your body's way of saying something's changing and we need to pay attention. What's really happening is that the body is becoming resistant to insulin. Insulin is the hormone whose job it is to take sugar out of your bloodstream and move it into your cells so you can use it for energy. When your cells stop responding to insulin the way it should, sugar stays in the bloodstream instead of getting into the cells. So the pancreas works harder and pumps out more insulin to compensate. Eventually, the system gets overwhelmed. That's where prediabetes comes in. It's the early sign that your body is struggling to keep blood sugar balance. But the good news, this stage is reversible. And understanding what's going on gives you the power to start taking action before it becomes diabetes. Pre-diabetes, doesn't just show up out of nowhere. It builds slowly over time, usually long before people ever notice a symptom. And it's driven by a mix of lifestyle, stress, hormones, and internal imbalances. Number one, being processed high sugar foods. When we eat a lot of processed foods, sugary snacks, sugary drinks, or foods that spike blood sugar quickly, the body has to release more and more insulin to keep up. Over time, the cells get tired of listening to insulin. That's the start of insulin resistance. Also, we deal with chronic stress and poor sleep. Stress hormones like cortisol actually raise blood sugar. And when you're stressed every day or not sleeping well, your body stays in a constant on state. That makes insulin resistance worse and makes cravings stronger. Lack of regular movement. Movement is one of the biggest ways to help insulin do its job. Your muscles act like a sponge for glucose, which is another name for sugar. When we're sitting all day at work, in the car, at home, that sponge just isn't being used. Then we have hormonal shifts, especially for people in midlife, like myself. Midlife is a whole chapter of hormonal shifts. Estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, thyroid, they're all shifting. These changes can affect metabolism, appetite, fat storage, and how sensitive the body is to insulin. So for many people over 40, insulin resistance starts creeping in, even if nothing else changed. And then you have the gut inflammatory imbalances. Your gut and blood sugar are deeply connected. Inflammation and imbalance in the microbiome of the gut, food sensitivities, all that affects how your body handles insulin. When the gut is inflamed, blood sugar regulation becomes harder. So when prediabetes shows up, it's not your body failing, it's your body talking to you. It's an early warning sign, a signal to restore balance before real damage sets in. And the beautiful part about this stage is that it's reversible. When we understand what's driving it, we can target it the right way. Let's look at signs that may indicate that you are insulin resistant. Let's talk about what insulin resistant actually feels like in real life, because most people are walking around with the signs and don't even realize it. So, constant fatigue, especially after eating. If you feel like you need a nap every time you eat, that's a clue. When insulin isn't working well, your cells aren't getting the energy they need. So even though you're eating, you feel drained. Cravings for sweets and carbs. This is a big one. Insulin resistance makes your blood sugar swing up and down. Every crash makes your brain say, I need sugar right now. Those cravings are chemistry, not weakness. Weight gain around the belly. Insulin is a storage hormone. When it stays elevated, the body tends to store more fat around the midsection. So that stubborn belly weight, especially in midlife, is often a sign of insulin resistance. Difficulty losing weight. This is the I'm doing all the things but nothing is moving phase. When insulin is high, the body stays in storage mode, not fat burning mode. Until insulin becomes more balanced, weight loss feels almost impossible. Increase hunger even after eating. If you eat a full meal and still feel hungry, that's a sign your cells aren't receiving the fuel. The food is there, your body just can't use it properly. So your brain sends the message, eat again. So if you're thinking, yup, that's me, and that one, you are not alone. These symptoms are incredibly common, your body's way of asking for support. The good news is when we address insulin resistance early, these symptoms improve quickly. Now let's look at some of the internal signs, the things we often see on labs and through hormonal changes that tell us insulin resistance might be developing. High triglycerides or low HDL, which is your good cholesterol. When insulin resistance is present, triglycerides often go up and HDL, the good cholesterol, tends to drop. Elevated fasting insulin or glucose. This is the one a lot of people never get checked, these tests. We fast glucose very often, but fasting insulin gives us the early warning. By the time glucose is high, insulin has usually been elevated for years. Irregular periods or symptoms of PCOS in women. For women, especially women between 20 to 40 years of age, insulin resistance can show up hormonally. PCOS, irregular cycles, hair changes, acne. These are often connected to insulin signaling being off. It's all tied together. Skin tags and darkened skin folds. This is a big visual clue. Skin tags or dark, velvety patches around the neck, underarms, and groin are often signs of high insulin levels. A lot of people don't know that. They just think it's a skin issue. If several of these sound familiar, your body may already be signaling that it's becoming insulin resistant. And that's not a moment for panic, that's a moment for awareness. Because once you recognize the signs, you can start making changes that truly help your body reset. So let's look at labs that help identify prediabetes. So these are labs that we look at to see what's going on with blood sugar. These numbers give us a snapshot of how your body is handling glucose, like I mentioned before, also known as sugar. So we have fasting blood glucose. This is usually the first test most people get. It measures your blood sugar after you haven't eaten for at least 8 hours. Here's how we can understand this. Normal would be less than 100, but optimal is between 70 and 85. So this means your fasting sugar is right where it should be if it's under 100. But keep in mind, for optimal blood sugar balancing, we want it to be between 70 and 85. Prediabetes is when that fasting blood glucose test is saying between 100 and 125. This is the warning zone again. It's not diabetes yet, but a sign that your body is starting to struggle with blood sugar control. And then if you have a fasting blood glucose over 126, at this level, especially if it's happened more than one time, it's consistent with being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. But fasting glucose is just one piece of the puzzle. On its own, it doesn't tell the whole story, which is why we look at a few more labs to get a full picture. And this is the one that most people probably think of or have heard when they think about prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. So another key lab we look at is the hemoglobin A1C. And this one is powerful because it tells your average blood sugar over the last 2 to 3 months. Unlike the fasting glucose, which is just one moment in time, A1C shows the overall pattern. It tells us how your blood sugar has been behaving day in and day out. So how do we read our A1C reading? If it comes back below 5.7%, this means the average blood sugar has been healthy and is in a stable range. If it comes back 5.7 to 6.4%, this again is that caution zone. It tells us blood sugar has been consistently higher than it should be, and the risk for diabetes is increasing. If your A1C comes back at 6.5 or higher, at this level, especially when it's been confirmed, maybe this a repeat test or something, some other symptoms are present, the provider will make the diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. But again, the point of this webinar is to educate you and inform you so that we can catch the blood sugar imbalances early so that we can have that intervention and reverse it. So A1C doesn't replace fasting glucose, it complements it. One shows the snapshot, the other shows the movie. When we put them together, we get a much clearer picture of what your metabolism is doing. Another test we sometimes use is the oral glucose tolerance test, more often used with pregnant women. And this one shows how your body handles sugar in real time. Here's how it works. You drink a glucose solution and then your blood is measured 2 hours later. This tells us how efficient your body can process a concentrated amount of sugar. So how would we understand the readings or report for this is that after 2 hours, after the person has drinking the glucose solution, and then 2 hours later, the tech would do the blood draw and process it. If it came back between 140 and 199, that would be an indication of prediabetes. Because what that would be signaling is that if your blood sugar is still elevated at the 2 hour mark, it means your body is struggling to clear glucose from the bloodstream. That's a big clue that insulin resistance is developing. Why does this test matter? Like the oral glucose tolerance test, all these tests. So the oral glucose tolerance test can catch issues earlier than the fasting glucose in some people, especially when fasting numbers look okay, but symptoms or risk factors suggest something deeper is going on. For women who've had gestational diabetes, which is occurs when a woman is pregnant, or people with stubborn midsection weight, fatigue, PCOS, strong family history, this test, the oral glucose test, tolerance test, can be very insightful. At the end of the day, numbers tell a story. They're not meant to scare you. They're meant to give you direction. The goal is always the same. Catch changes early and take action before damage begins. Prediabetes is the stage where your body is asking for help. And when we step in early, we can truly turn things around. So let's look at risk factors. You're at higher risk for prediabetes if you have a family history of diabetes, you carry extra weight around your abdomen, your level of movement is less than 150 minutes per week. You're over the age of 40. Just naturally, the aging process increases your risk. If you have high blood pressure or abnormal cholesterol, if you are a woman and experience gestational diabetes while pregnant, if you're a woman and have PCOS, or man or woman with, hormonal imbalances, puts you at greater risk. Or as mentioned earlier, if you belong to one of these ethnic groups, African American, Hispanic, Native American, Pacific Islander, the more risk factors you have, the more important it is to take action early. Gut health and prediabetes. What does the research show? Now, let's get into something a lot of people don't realize. Your gut health and your blood sugar are deeply connected. Research shows that people with prediabetes tend to have less diversity in their gut microbiome. In simple terms, fewer types of good bacteria. A healthy gut is like a thriving neighborhood with a mix of everybody. When diversity drops, the whole system becomes more vulnerable. They also tend to have lower levels of certain bacteria that produce butyrate. That's a short chain fatty acid that helps reduce inflammation. It supports gut lining health, and it improves insulin sensitivity. When butyrate producers are low, inflammation goes up and blood sugar balance becomes harder. Shifts in gut microbiome patterns. We also see very distinct shifts in gut bacteria patterns that correlate with insulin resistance. What does this mean? Long before blood sugar becomes a big issue, the gut is already sending us signals. Some bacteria become too dominant, others disappear, and that imbalance affects how your body handles glucose. When we change what we eat, we can actually change the gut microbiome, and those shifts improve blood sugar, insulin levels, and inflammation. It proves that the gut isn't just affected by blood sugar, it drives it. When we nourish the gut, metabolism follows. So when we talk about reversing prediabetes, we're not just talking about carbs and calories. We're talking about healing the gut, reducing inflammation, and giving the body the environment it needs to rebalance. So why do we care about the gut when we're talking about prediabetes? Because your gut microbes, that's your good and bad bacteria, play a major role in how your body handles sugar, fat, and inflammation. Think of your gut as the central control center. When the bacteria are balanced and healthy, they help regulate blood sugar, support digestion, manage inflammation, and even influence hunger and cravings. But when the gut barrier weakens, or when the good microbes start to drop, inflammation rises. And once inflammation increases, it becomes much harder for insulin to work the way it should. That's when insulin resistance starts creeping in. So the gut may not be the only factor, but it's definitely a powerful one. Here's the good part. The gut is one of the most responsive systems in the body. When we feed it well and support it with the right foods and habits, it can change, sometimes in just a couple of weeks. Supporting a healthy gut is one piece of the puzzle in reversing or preventing prediabetes. And for many people, it's the missing piece. So the goal isn't perfection, it's creating an internal environment where your gut and metabolism can actually work with you, not against you. Let's get to the part where we want to apply the reset framework so that we can turn awareness into action. So the reset framework is a framework that I have developed here at Better Days Wellness Clinic, and it's the foundation for all of our programs. So the R in reset framework stands for restore. And this is where we focus on bringing the body back into balance at the root level. That means restoring gut health, restoring hormone balance, and restoring the body's ability to respond to insulin the way it's designed to. Your gut and hormones talk to each other all day long. When the gut is inflamed or out of balance, Your hormones, including insulin, can't regulate properly. So part of restoring is getting the gut back on track so the rest of the system can stabilize. This is especially important in midlife when estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, and thyroid hormones are already shifting. A supported gut can make those transitions smoother and protect your metabolism. Inflammation is one of the biggest drivers of insulin resistance. And the good news is it is absolutely something we can have an influence on. We reduce inflammation through targeted nutrition. Foods that calm the gut, stabilize blood sugar, and support healthy metabolism. And we pair that with lifestyle changes that lower stress hormones, improve sleep, and regulate appetite. When inflammation drops, insulin works better. When insulin works better, blood sugars become more stable. And that's how we begin reversing prediabetes right at the source. Restore is the foundation because once your gut and hormones are supported, everything else becomes easier. Weight loss becomes easier, energy improves, cravings calm down, your whole system starts working with you again. First E stands for eating well. And this is where we get really practical because what we eat is one of the fastest ways to stabilize blood sugar and reverse insulin resistance. A blood sugar friendly plate is simple: protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Those three slow down digestion, keep your blood sugar steady, reduce cravings, and help you stay full longer. Protein supports muscle and metabolism. Fiber feeds the good bacteria in your gut. Healthy fats keep you satisfied and help regulate hormones. When all three show up on your plate, your blood sugar responds beautifully. We want to limit processed carbs and added sugars. This doesn't mean we can never eat a cookie again, but it does mean mindful of the foods that spike blood sugar quickly. Things like sugary drinks, pastries, white bread, chips, and ultra processed snacks. These foods cause your blood sugar to shoot up fast, which forces insulin to work overtime. When we reduce those spikes, we reduce insulin resistance. Eating for blood sugar doesn't have to be restrictive. It's about building meals that support your energy, your hormones, and your long-term health goals. When your plate changes, so will your numbers. The S in reset stands for sleep and stress management. And honestly, this is one of the most underrated parts of reversing prediabetes. We have to prioritize sleep. We have to prioritize getting 7 to 8 hours of restorative sleep. When you're not sleeping well, your blood sugar goes up, your cravings increase, and your stress hormone stays high, that cortisol. Even one night of poor sleep can make your body act temporarily insulin resistant. So I always tell my patients, sleep is not a luxury, it's a metabolic tool. You want to aim for 7 to 8 hours of restorative sleep so your hormones can reset, your appetite can regulate, and your body can heal. Chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated, and cortisol raises blood sugar. So, if stress is high every day and there's no relief, insulin resistance becomes harder to fight. Daily stress relief doesn't have to look like a 60-minute meditation. It can simply be 5-10 minutes of deep breathing or short walk, journaling, stretching, praying, anything that helps bring your nervous system down and helps your body feel safe again. When sleep improves and stress goes down, cravings calm, blood sugar stabilizes, and the body becomes more responsive to insulin. And this pillar right here is truly a game changer. The second E in reset, exercise. And this is all about movement that supports your metabolism, your energy, and your insulin sensitivity. You do not need a gym membership or a 2-hour workout routine to reverse prediabetes. Your body simply needs consistent movement. When you move most days, even light movement, your muscles use glucose more efficiently. Your insulin works better and your blood sugar becomes easier to manage. Think of movement as medicine. The dose matters more than the intensity. One of the easiest and most powerful habits you can start is taking a short walk after meals, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes. That little bit of movement acts like a sponge, pulling glucose, sugar, out of your bloodstream and helping your insulin work more efficiently. Studies show post-meal walks can lower blood sugar as much as some medications. It's simple, it's free, and it works. When you pair consistent daily movement with short walks after meals, you're giving your body exactly what it needs to improve insulin sensitivity. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be consistent. And then the T in reset is transformation, the part where everything we talked about tonight turns into the real life change. You want to build consistency and mindset around small, lasting habits. Transformation doesn't come from doing everything perfect for a week. It comes from building small, sustainable habits that your future self can actually maintain. This is where mindset matters. Is shifting from I have to overhaul my life to I'm choosing one habit at a time, because those small choices stack up. They build momentum, and that's what creates lifelong results. Most people don't struggle because they lack information, they struggle because they lack support. And that's why our reset programs exist. Through coaching, community, and accountability, you don't have to do this alone. You have guidance, structure, and a group of people walking the same journey with you, because transformation is easier and more sustainable when you're supported. This framework is about taking what you've learned tonight and turn it into action steps you can actually follow. The reset framework is about progress, not perfection. Every small shift you make helps your body return to balance. Every pillar works together. And that's the beauty of this approach. You don't have to do everything at once, you just have to start. So, if you're listening tonight and thinking, okay, I'm ready to start making changes, but I need guidance, this is where our Reset Insight program comes in. Our Reset Insights is a 30-day personalized jumpstart designed to help you restore balance, improve energy, and begin reversing those early metabolic shifts we've been talking about tonight. We start with a full wellness and metabolic assessment using just a few strands of hair. This gives us a deeper look at stress levels, nutrient imbalances, food sensitivities, and areas where your body needs support. From there, I will create a personalized nutrition and supplement plan based on your results. And this is not a one size fits all. This is tailored so you're doing what works for your body, not guessing. You also get 4 weeks of reset group coaching. And for the next 4 weeks, you will get to know other people that's on similar journeys. And this means you have support, accountability, you get clarity and community while walking a similar journey. You don't have to figure this out alone. So, who is this program for? This is perfect for anyone who's ready to start shifting habits now without feeling overwhelmed, without feeling the need to be perfect, and without trying to piece things together from the internet. Small changes, real results, a better you in 30 days. That's what Reset Insights is about. Giving you structure, support, and a personalized plan so you can actually start feeling better fast. And then we have our Reset Vitality. Now, if you're someone who's thinking, I'm ready to go deeper, I want to truly transform my metabolism, hormones, and gut health, then the Reset Vitality is for you. This is our 90-day deep dive, the flagship program that brings everything together so you can finally stop managing symptoms and start creating real long-term change. Vitality includes all that's featured in the Reset Insights program, the personalized plans, the group support, and all that. But it also has the GI map. And the GI map is one of the most advanced gut tests available. It gives us a detailed look at your microbiome, your inflammation levels, digestion, pathogens, and markers that directly affect metabolism and insulin sensitivity. This level of clarity lets us create a plan that is specific to your gut. We're not going to guess at it. From there, we build out comprehensive protocols to rebalance hormones, repair the gut, and reduce inflammation. This is where we get to the root of energy issues, stubborn weight, cravings, hot flashes, sleep changes, all the things midlife tends to bring. Vitality gives you ongoing group coaching for 90 days. This program is designed for those who are ready to transform, not just manage their health. If you're ready for deep healing, real accountability, and a plan that looks at your body from every angle, then Reset Vitality may be your next step. You have the power to change your story one choice at a time. Here's how to begin. You can book your wellness strategy session today. This will give me a chance to review your labs, your lifestyle, and your goals. And then together we can find the right reset path for you. And if you're interested in learning more, you can schedule that wellness strategy session here on the website, which is at the bottom of the screen, which is www.betterdayswc.com. So just in closing, key facts I want you to remember. As we close, I want to leave you with this reminder. You are not your diagnosis or your lab results. You are the choices you make each day. Here are a few key facts to carry with you. Prediabetes is common, but it's not permanent. 1 in 3 adults has it, and with small, consistent changes, it can be reversed. Most people who have it don't even know. Awareness is everything. The gut, stress, and daily habits all play a major role. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need a consistent one. Remember, your body is designed to heal. Every balanced meal, every night of good rest, every walk after dinner, they all count. Thank you for being here and choosing to take this step towards better days. The reset starts now. Your journey to better days starts with one intentional step. And tonight was the first step by joining us here on the webinar. So thank you so much.